I think when it comes to this matter of choosing a spouse, I think there's two things to it. I think the first thing is when we talk about God's will and our choice. If you, in your single season, and we're going to go into a lot of this, I guess, in videos to come, but if you in your single season have really been spending time with Jesus, if you've gotten to know Jesus, if you've really been spending time with the Lord, really been in prayer, devotion, worship, it's really going to be quite difficult for your choices not to really align to what he wants. Just like, when you spend time with someone for a long time, you get to know what they like and what they want, and even how you're raised by your parents. A lot of the things that we desire in life, a lot of that will come from what our parents desire for us. It's just the way it goes. So if you've really been spending time with the Lord, when you get to the point of choosing a spouse, chances are, and it's very strong chances, that your will now be aligned to his will. So there is an element that you make a choice, but the choice will actually be his choice being made manifest through you. So this concept of separating it, like, well, I'm just going to choose and then I go off and do my own thing, it's really impossible for you to spend time with Jesus and not have what you want being aligned to what he wants. So that's the confidence that we have when it comes to relationships. We can choose, but we still know that in our choosing, it's actually God's choice. And that's what we mean by there being the one, but there's still an element of choice in it, in that you have to do the work, but it's God's choice being made manifest through what you do. There comes a point in life where, we always talk about God use me, but there comes a time when we don't just want to be used. God can use anything, but we want to cooperate. As a son, we want to cooperate. So when we choose a spouse, we're really cooperating with God to fulfill his plans and purposes that he set from the beginning of time. And then the second point is, a lot of the times I hear this thing about, well, I make a choice about my spouse, but I just use, God's wisdom. But when people talk about God's wisdom, a lot of the time they start to refer back to this list that they wrote. And, I have a bit of an issue with that, because I feel that if we're going to say that list we wrote based upon what we know about ourselves and what the bit that we know about where we're going, if we're going to say that list, is really the fullness of God's wisdom, then we're going to be flawed in choosing a spouse, because we know in part and we prophesy in part. You only know so much of who you are, what's in you, where you're going. And so now you're looking for Mr. Prophet because you feel you're called to be a prophet. And you're looking for Mr. Apostle because you feel you're called to the apostolic. And then you're looking for Mr. Loves to Travel because you feel you're called to the nations. But he might not be that way now. He may not be that way now. But in a marriage, you may see those things begin to come out. So really your list can only be loose guidelines, but we can't say that's the fullness of God's wisdom, and that's enough for us to make this independent choice that we talk about. If we do that, ultimately we really do miss what God has for us. And a lot of marriages are formed that way. Even in the body of Christ, we base our marriages on compatibility, but yet our divorce rates are so high. And that tells you that clearly we're actually missing something major.
Yes. Another thing that is quite interesting and is quite potent is many people feel, what if I don't like God's one?
Yeah.
That really
and that just doesn't happen.
And the thing is, a lot of times, if we're just being honest, this is what we call unbelief. This is what we call unbelief, or not a lack of process. So yes, if you are someone that wants a gangster as a husband, then yes, the one might not be a gangster, but he'll be the best for you. And then you need to let go of that gangster. That gangster kind of. You want someone that can push you and
box you up.
That can hold you and lift you up and talk you. Basically, the truth is, yes, if you have funny kind of odd desires that I guess are not processed by the Lord, then yes, it might not be the one. But we have the confidence that if we ask according to his will, that he will give us who he has ordained for us. So, again, you shouldn't, I guess, number one, if you believe in God's wisdom, because you can't say you're using God's wisdom, but what if I don't like him? What if I don't? You will like the person that God has ordained. And you understanding and kind of working that out is something that you're going to have to just do. And, many times people settle for anybody because they're like, well, God, where is this person? Well, just press in. press in and also be open. And there's many other things to, in terms of your readiness, which we will talk about in other episodes.
In future videos. Be
encouraged, guys. And that is us in regards to the one. We're going to be going into a lot more detail, but these are just snippets for you. So again, thank you for visiting. And this is Sacred Union providing you relevant resources for relationships.